It's Halloween weekend, and as a kid I used to love this time of year. Haunted houses, scary movies, and trick-or-treating were some of my favorite things. This entire month has been Halloween themed on my channel, and it doesn't end today. Death is just the beginning, because today we're going to do a solo playthrough of Pokemon Yellow with Gastly. Let's get in the Halloween spirit. Here's the rules for this challenge. I've left them in the description in case you need to reference them later. The first problem I encounter in this challenge is trying to think of a fitting name for Gastly. I did a Google search for names of ghosts from horror movies, but just none of them are ever named. I really wanted to name it the Bent Neck Lady because The Haunting of Hill House genuinely terrified me a few years ago, but unfortunately Pokemon Yellow doesn't provide enough characters. For this challenge, I'll be leaning on some of the insights I gained during my playthrough with Gengar. One of these insights is that ghost types are fantastic in the early game of Yellow. The only two Pokemon that can damage them are the optional rivals SPEAROW and Brock's Onix with Bide. Yes, in Yellow there are no Weedle in the forest, even on any of the trainers' teams. The first one shows up on the route after Brock. I defeat the optional rival, so I'll face his Jolteon team in the final fight. It's probably the best champion team in Generation 1. I'm only going to battle one extra trainer in the forest. Nightshade's easy mode for Brock after all. I can use Lick on the bugs, but I prefer to just use Nightshade on everything because Gastly has an awful attack stat. However, its special and speed are seriously fantastic for a first stage Pokemon. When I brought up Gastly's stats in my spreadsheet, I had to cross-reference Bulbapedia and Cerebi to confirm that it does indeed have a 100 base special. Yup, that seems excessive for a first stage Pokemon. So we've reached the first gym leader, and in the spirit of Halloween, I'm going to make some predictions about what costumes each of them would wear. Brock would probably be a referee. He is known for impeding the progress of many Pokemon and causing them to get significantly worse times in playthroughs. In Yellow, his Geodude only knows Tackle, and today with Gastly that makes it a free knockout. My speed stat allows me to move first against his Onix. Funnily enough, this snake is actually astonishingly fast, but because my little ghosty is faster, I can avoid all the damage from Bide by using Confuse Ray after Onix starts to store energy. So this is essentially a free win, and that's pretty rare when you're facing Brock. Now, Pokemon Yellow amps up the scariness on the next route by throwing Poison Sting at me. I know, Gastly can actually take damage now. How terrifying. However, it doubly resists poison-type attacks, making Poison Sting even more pathetic than it already is. Plus, it can't poison me. In Mount Moon, I noticed one difference from Gengar. Gastly doesn't learn Mega Punch or Body Slam. This makes sense. Gastly has no body or arms. If Gastly was gonna learn a normal type move, it should learn Headbutt, cause that would make sense, since Gastly is basically just a floating head. But wouldn't it really be Body Slam in that case? I grab the Dome Fossil and then I proceed to Cerulean. The rival on Nugget Bridge is next. His Spearow knows Peck and the Sandshrew knows Sand Attack. The first one of these moves is the only one that I can take damage from, and the second has the potential to get very annoying, but Confuse Ray allows me to avoid it, and Nightshade does the trick for the rest of his team. On the bridge, I use Lick as much as possible and save Nightshade's PP for normal types. I want to avoid having to head back and heal. I'm trying to get the fastest real-time completion after all. Now, let's focus our attention on a strange glitch where Gastly fights this Ekans. It uses Wrap, a normal type move, and that can't damage Gastly. It does nothing. But then on the next turn, it continues to play the animation and display the text while Gastly takes no damage. This occurs with Bind as well. Ah, the glories of Generation 1. That's a second piece of jank related to the ghost type. Despite my best efforts, my PP actually ends up being insufficient and I need to head back and heal. After that, I head back to Nugget Bridge, complete it, and now it's time for Misty. For Halloween, she's probably going to dress up as a mermaid or a firefighter. I get more mermaid vibes from her in the games, and firefighter vibes from her in the anime. She opens with Staryu. I use Nightshade, deal roughly 60% damage, get hit with a critical hit from Water Gun, taking 1/5 damage, and then I knock the Starfish out. Starmie is next. It uses Water Gun, dealing 1/5 damage. I confuse it, it uses Water Gun again, and then I use Nightshade. So it's going to be a 3-hit, but it's outspeeding, and it goes for Bubble Beam, which knocks Gastly out. That resets player error. I should have just brute forced the Starmie down. That would give Gastly so much more consistency in this fight. I could still faint if it uses Bubble Beam 2 or 3 times in a row, but that doesn't occur in the next fight and I earned the second badge. Collecting badges, it's like collecting candy on Halloween, but I'm only allowed to collect badges now because I've grown out of trick-or-treating. Unfortunately. On the SSN, I grabbed the TM for rest. Unfortunately, I was tired while playing this run, and you can really tell because I accidentally fought a trainer in Surge's gym while the timer was paused. So I resumed it for this fight and then stopped it once it was over. Now I just need to get my energy up because the electrifying Surge is next. So he can't dress up as a soldier. He's probably like the dad that you take out trick-or-treating with you who throws together a really quick police officer costume by walking around with a badge in his pocket. The fact that he only has one Raichu really shows off his lack of creativity in-game. He gives it an X speed first turn, but Hypnosis puts it to sleep. You can't go fast if you're asleep, Raichu. Unfortunately, the X speed must be caffeine because it wakes up right away without getting a good night's sleep. Next turn, Surge's impeccable AI is on display as he uses Mega Punch against Gastly. In yellow, they took away his good AI, so he just randomly chooses moves, and using Hypnosis and Confuse Ray only gives him more turns to attack. In retrospect, I should have just gone on the offensive right away. He's got a roughly 1 in 5 chance to use Thunderbolt. Growl, Mega Punch, Mega Kick, and X Speed won't help him against Gastly, and using Hypnosis and Confuse Ray only gives him more turns to attack. As a prize for my victory, I get the TM for Thunderbolt. This reminds me of when someone would hand out a Warhead. Those were so rare, but they were my favorite candy of all. Today, Thunderbolt has this same rare mystique to it, because it's Gastly's first opportunity to use its incredible special stat, and this shocking move is useful in Rock Tunnel against the Slowpoke. Lick won't work because Gen 1 jank, Nightshade would, but Thunderbolt is obviously just better. Now it's time for the Celadon portion of the game, and here Gastly gets access to the TM for Psychic, another powerful special move. It feels like the game is trying to convince you that Gastly is actually a Psychic type because of all of its pink highlights. I made this mistake when I did my Gengar playthrough. I deleted Thunderbolt but kept Psychic on my moveset. Turns out before Generation 6, Thunderbolt has 95 base power where Psychic only has 90 base power, so the electric move is a better choice today. This is also important because Thunderbolt is significantly more useful against the champion. One thing I'm realizing as I write the script is that Saffron City is yellow, Alakazam is yellow, Hypno is yellow, Starmie has yellow highlights, and so does Jinx. I'm surprised that this golden yellow color isn't more strongly associated with Psychic types in my mind. In Pokemon Tower, I get a great opportunity to train after I sweep through the rival's weak team. All the ghosts here are part Poison type, making them weak to Psychic. This is a fast way to gain experience. I also defeat all the trainers in Erica's gym, except the trainer with Execute. Basically, I'm running around knocking out all the poison types, which Kanto is filled with, by the way. It's the most populous type in this generation. In my Sudowoodo video, I mentioned how I wanted to go for a tree as Halloween when I was younger, and while I doubt that I had the confidence to pull that off, Erica probably could. Today she surprises me because I expected this to be a simple sweep. She's got poison dual types as more than half of her team after all, but her Pokemon don't all faint in one hit from Psychic. Tangela surviving makes sense because it's got a great special stat, and it's not poison type, but Weepinbell surprises me. Is Gloom gonna survive too? The Stinky Flower gets hit by my Ghost's mind powers and it faints in a single hit. All is right with the world. It's time to trick or treat in a company's headquarters. Here I've got to decide how much I want to train. Typically in Versus videos I spend a lot of time training here, prepping for the later gyms and the rival fight. Because if you're a high enough level coming out of this section of the game, you can sweep past all the final leaders and make a good pre-league time. If you complete this place too fast, you can never come back and obtain this experience. With first stage Pokemon, I generally want to invest the time here training against every single trainer. But because of Gastly's 100 base special and J-Rose's fantastic results with it in Pokemon Red, I'm feeling optimistic about my chances. As a result, I don't defeat every trainer. I use the vitamins that I've collected up until now. The earlier you use them, the better. If you wait too long, your stat experience will build up, preventing them from being usable. It's time for the Sylph rival. I've been playing so much Yellow lately that I really want to go back and play Red and Blue again. His team's a lot different in those games. I want to face the proper rival Fivel with his Water Onix sometime soon. In this case, he opens with Sandslash, and it isn't challenging. Ninetales does some damage with Ember before fainting. Thunderbolt does enough damage to the Shellfish, and Cadaver's next. I need 2 turns to knock it out, so it gets a chance to use Confusion, dealing around 40% damage to me. Jolteon is last. It outspeeds, but Gastly survives. And then Hypnosis fails. Great. The doggo uses Thundershock again, gets a critical hit, and knocks Gastly out. Okay, whatever. I know that this evolution has a high critical hit rate in this game because of its speed stat, but I feel like it won't get another one. On the next fight, I decide to put Cadaver to sleep instead of just trying to grind it down. That lets me move on to Jolteon with a lot more health. I tank its Thundershock and knock it out with 2 turns of Psychic. I never mention this fight against Giovanni anymore because honestly, he's really bad. His Nidoqueen sometimes survives a single hit, but it doesn't know Earthquake. A lot of people say that Giovanni's just bad, but that's only true in his first 2 fights in Yellow. In the final gym, he's got 4 Pokemon with Earthquake, and his Rhydon knows Rock Slide as well. Granted, in Pokemon Red, he's awful in the final gym too. Poison Sting. Yes, in the final gym battle, his Pokemon knows Poison Sting. With him out of the way, I head back to Celadon and buy as many vitamins as possible. The clock is ticking on when I can use these. I find that around Cinnabar Island, they stop being effective due to stat experience. Today I'm prioritizing Calcium to raise Gastly's special, giving it more offensive might. Koga's costume is obvious. Plague Doctor. If you think he's going as a ninja, you're wrong. We don't go out for Halloween as what we do for a job. Come on. But this fight today is easy. Gastly sweeps through his bug poison Pokemon with ease. The Venomoth causes some issues because it's a Ghost Dark type, but it only takes 2 hits to knock it out. Now, there's always one person in every group of friends that's just dressed up as an inanimate object. If the 151 original Pokemon were a group of friends, then Voltorb would be that guy. But when considering gym leaders, it's Blaine. He's the one. He'd go out for Halloween as his favorite item, the Super Potion. Today things start off poorly against him. I fail Hypnosis twice, Ninetales confuses me, I hit myself in confusion twice, and then I finally put the Fairy Tail Fox to sleep. Unfortunately, after only one Dream Eater, it wakes up and I get Fumble Fingers and use Dream Eater when it's awake. So yeah, that's not a good opening to the fight. Lucky for me, Blaine's team isn't well equipped to deal with Gastly. If this was Gen 4 and Rapidash and Arcanine had physical fire moves, I'd feel very differently. But without them, I'm not particularly worried. I make my way through his remaining Pokemon and earn the Volcano badge, which boosts my already exceptional special stat. Psychic type is the closest thing that we have to magic in Pokemon, so I think that Sabrina would dress up as a witch. The fight against her could be challenging today because Kadabra and Alakazam will likely one-hit me with Psychic. I avoid a flash from Abra and knock it out moving on with my accuracy intact. I put Kadabra to sleep and take it out over 2 turns, with the help from a critical hit. Alakazam is last, and it really doesn't want to stay asleep. The first turn it uses a move, it chooses Recover, and then it gets an X-Defend and uses Psywave, dealing 40% damage to me. Okay, that's a decent roll for Psywave, but the Psychic Fox is sleepy and Gastly takes it down with 2 Thunderbolts. Giovanni's costume is easy. Darth Vader. He's a surprising reveal at one of the most important parts in the narrative. Plus, this guy isn't dressing up as a hero, he's a villain through and through. And today that's truer than ever, because Nidoking absolutely trashes Gastly with a single Earthquake. 4 of his 5 Pokemon know this move, and that's going to make him my largest challenge yet. I fight the rest of the trainers in his gym to level up a bit more before re-attempting. I was decently close to knocking out the Nidos, so a few more levels could be just what I need. However, the second fight is shorter than the first. Dugtrio survives Psychic and bodies Gastly with Earthquake right away. In order to train, I'm heading out into Kanto to fight the trainers east of Fuchsia. This is a great place because of the density of battles and the number of Pokemon in each of their teams. You walk like 3 steps and then there's another battle with 3 or 4 Pokemon. This saves time because the game doesn't have to animate a bunch of text and the battle animation over and over again. Making it even better is the fact that it's packed with poison and flying types. With Thunderbolt and Psychic, Gastly is very efficient here. At level 55 I return. If this was a Nuzlocke, this would be the level cap for this fight, which I'm really glad it isn't because I still fail to knock the Dugtrio out and it ends me with Dig. Maybe Hypnosis on turn 1 will allow me to get past this thing. But I missed twice, and Earthquake knocks me out again. Time to use some rare candies. I allow these in playthroughs with first stage Pokemon. I've been assuming that I should just keep them all until right before the league and then use them all at once. That makes sense, but it makes the league boring if I'm using a final stage Pokemon in say a versus video, and that's why I've banned them in those videos. I'd arrive around level 55, use 10 or 11 rare candies, putting me somewhere around level 65, and then I can just typically sweep through all the league members on my first attempt. I realized this first when I was recording Electabuzz vs Magmar, so I tried to reduce my use of rare candies ever since. Interesting content is one of the primary goals after all. However, using rare candies throughout the playthrough to skip training is an option. Stay tuned for a video where I test that. Today I'm not going to save all my rare candies until the league, and hopefully it's going to work out for Gastly. At level 60, I re-attempt Giovanni for the 5th time. Now I'm able to speed past his first 4 Pokemon. It's my chance to show Rhydon who's boss. But it survives Psychic and crushes my hopes with Earthquake. When I was playing, I assumed that training was necessary here, but during the grind I realized that removing Dream Eater for Mega Drain was the solution. After all, there's just a Dream Eater TM in Viridian City that I can use to relearn it later. Dugtrio survives my Psychic, uses Dig, and doesn't KO Gastly. I survive with 12 hit points. I make my way past Persian, it can't damage me, and then I face Nidoqueen. But it survives and knocks me out. Last time that KO'd, but this time it didn't. My stats weren't altered in the last fight, so I must have just rolled the opposite side of the range. Oh, actually, I just didn't use rare candies, so never mind, I'm just forgetful. Now it's the 7th fight against Giovanni, and this is getting really painful. I'm level 62. Just being a couple levels higher makes Psychic KO Nidoqueen and Nidoking in a single hit. Rhydon comes out, but this time I'm much more prepared with Mega Drain. The Rock Dino is no more. I've defeated the trick-or-treating gym leaders. All that is left is the Pokemon League. But before that, the rival attempts to slow me down one last time. This fight was going great, and then Kadabra uses Psychic. While I tank it decently, my special is lowered, allowing Kadabra to survive with a sliver of health and knock me out. I tried again, but this time Kadabra gets a critical hit with Psychic, and Gastly faints in one hit. Okay, time for some more rare candies. Maybe it's premature to use these, however I think that I can manage the league without additional training after this fight. I hope that I'm not wrong. Kadabra getting a critical hit is one thing, that's mostly luck. In the 3rd fight, a worse scenario plays out. This time Execute paralyzes me with Stun Spore. Paralysis is quickly becoming my least favorite status condition. Losing speed is just unacceptable in solo challenges with frail Pokemon. Because of it, I'm not able to make it past Kadabra. Ghost Pokemon are supposed to be the counter to Psychic types. The Gen 1 Jank is just really not that charming right now. Okay, fight number 4. 4 times the charm? The key is avoiding Stun Spore with luck alone against Execute, and then putting Kadabra to sleep. If it's asleep, it can't attack. I know, right? So innovative. Jolteon is last, and it knows Agility, a psychic move, which it believes is super effective against my poison-typed Gastly, so it's just gonna spam it over and over and never do any damage. This is one of the 2 Pokemon in Pokemon Yellow version that suffers from this AI misplay. There are many, many more in Pokemon Red. Like, many more. I've arrived at the league. Here's Gastly's stats and moveset. I thought it would make better time. If I review my splits, it's clear that I was poorly prepared for Giovanni. To solve the problem on a second playthrough, I'd train more before the fight, then add Mega Drain and use rare candies. That way I'd be much more prepared and save a lot of time. While Gastly can hit hard with special attacks, it also can't take physical attacks. Like, Gastly can take physical attacks like I can take punches from an MMA pro. That being said, my undeniable charm would prevent them from even attacking in the first place, much like Gastly's hypnosis. I'm just hoping that really strong physical attackers like Lance's Aerodactyl don't cause Gastly to get walled during the league. So I've trick-or-treated all around Kanto and collected all the badges. It's time for the scary part. The haunted house hosted by the Elite Four. No turning back. I must face what's ahead. Lorelei's first. To scare people attending the haunted house, she is dressed up as an ice cube. After all, that's the most terrifying thing that can happen to your Pokemon in this room. Usually, I'm worried about her because she's one of the stronger members of the league, but today Thunderbolt's gonna make this a straightforward fight. Cloyster has less special than Dugong, so it faints in a single hit. Slowbro could survive, and it knows the Amnesia and Psychic combo. However, Gastly's Thunderbolt blows it away. Jinx is next. And this one isn't a water type. I use Thunderbolt, taking it to 40% health, and it retaliates with Ice Punch, doing 1/5 to Gastly. No freeze, so that means I've got it. I level up to 69, Thunderbolt the Lapras, it survives, and uses Confuse Ray. This is the second Pokemon in Yellow that gets stuck using a non-damage dealing move because of the AI. Because of that, I'm moving on. Bruno is next. He showed up to the haunted house and they were like, "So, who are you dressed up as?" And he was like, "I'm dressed up as myself." And there's always one person like that just doesn't try at all with their costume. Agatha's next, and she gets Halloween. She's dressed up as a zombie and went all out with her chamber. It's terrifying. Tombstones everywhere and a creepy brown-yellow color. This room has the aesthetic that my girlfriend wants in our place year-round. She's exponentially happier as the number of ghost mugs and skulls increases. Luckily for Gastly, it's right at home in this environment and the battle's easy. The only sticking point could be the final Gengar. It survives Psychic and could hit us with Hypnosis or Psychic, but today it doesn't. Lance is dressed up as a supervillain. He's got spiky red hair, a cool pose, and a red cape. Clearly he's never seen The Incredibles. Today, Gastly's afraid of him because he's got a fast physical attacker, Aerodactyl. Right before it, the second worst turn plays out. The worst would have been an Ice Beam freeze, of course, but this time Bubble Beam lowers my speed. I knock the Dragonair out, but I'm unsure if I'll outspeed the Aerodactyl now. I don't, it flies, gets a critical hit, and knocks Gastly out. On the next fight, I managed to get past the first 3 Pokemon without losing any speed. I opt for Hypnosis against Aerodactyl, and it falls asleep. Honestly, that was a misplay. Thunderbolt would have knocked it out, and using Hypnosis opened me up to take damage if I missed. Dragonite's last. I outspeed, do just under half damage, causing a special drop, and Dragonite uses Blizzard for 15% damage. That special drop is all I need, though. Oh, never mind, critical hit is actually all I need. And with that, I've done it. All that remains is the champion. The champion is the guy who's in the haunted house and goes all out to try to be scary. Sometimes in frustrating ways. You're entering the haunted house and you ask "Hey, can they touch me?" And the employee's just "I don't know." And then this guy follows you around constantly trying to scare you and grabbing your arm and stuff like that. In Yellow, his team is fantastically terrifying for Pokemon attempting solo runs. Sandslash is a hard physical attacker first, and then Alakazam is a brutal special attacker and special wall. Following that is the slow gauntlet of Executor, Cloyster, and Ninetales. They love to stall you out. They're great at capturing you in multi-turn moves after Leech Seed gets set up. If all of that doesn't stop you, Jolteon is a fast and hard-hitting special attacker, and it's only weak to one type, ground. Sandslash the lead knows Earthquake, and today it survives Mega Drain and one-hits Gastly with its Stab Ground move. I adjust my moveset replacing Psychic with Dream Eater. I'm also going to change my approach. I need to one-hit the Sandslash or put it to sleep. At this level, I don't think that the one-hit's possible, so I'll use Hypnosis. And then Mega Drain gets a critical hit and Sandslash is KO'd in a single turn. Great, Alakazam is next. Will I outspeed? I do, putting it to sleep with Hypnosis. This one is scary because I need to knock it out with Thunderbolt, a special attack. It wakes up once, but I put it back to sleep right away. Disaster narrowly averted. Well, the real disaster is actually next, because Executor looks like something from a haunted house. Its design is nightmarish. It also is one of my least favorite Pokemon to face in this game. Hypnosis, Leech Seed, Stomp, and Barrage. The most annoying learn set. However, it's annoying for another reason today. It thinks that Leech Seed is not very effective against Gastly, so it uses its other moves instead. Barrage and Stomp are normal, and they can't deal any damage to Gastly. But it does resist all of my damage dealing moves, and it puts me to sleep regularly. So it's just stalling the clock out. I finally managed to take it down, and then the only other contender for the Pokemon that I hate the most is next, Cloyster. Cloyster is slow and it has lowish special, so Thunderbolt manages it with ease. No Leech Seed, Clamp, and Fire Spin Gauntlet today. However, Ninetales knows Confuse Ray, so I'll have to face Jolteon confused. It comes out, I hit myself, and then it uses Thunder, dealing 50% damage, leaving me with 26% health. Gastly snaps out of confusion, puts Jolteon to sleep, but it wakes up immediately. I try again, it wakes up right away, my third attempt misses, Thunder Wave paralyzes me, and Jolteon finishes the gas ball off with Thunder. On the third fight, Hypnosis misses and Sandslash uses Earthquake. Oh hey, a Gen 1 miss. That's really lucky. And then I miss. Okay, whatever. Earthquake connects, but Gastly survives with 3 hit points. Okay, that's the luck I needed. I use Hypnosis and it misses for a third time. So that was some of the best possible luck, and then some of the worst possible luck, turn after turn after turn. In the fourth fight, the game just realizes that it gave me so much luck previously, and it just removes all of the good luck. I miss, and then Earthquake ends the fight. Okay, Scott's theories time. So, was Gastly given the poison type so that it would be weak to ground because corpses are buried underground? Every time it faints to a ground move, is it getting buried again? So this fight hasn't been going so well. I'm out of rare candies and there aren't really any good moves to learn with TMs. The reality here is that I'm going to be forced to rely on Hypnosis. I need to use it for Sandslash and Alakazam. If I get hit, the fight's over. Executor also requires Hypnosis because without it, I'm going to be put to sleep over and over, and that's just going to extend the clock time dramatically. Ninetales is the champion's MVP of this fight though. Having a Ghost-type Confuse Ray with 100% accuracy allows it to cripple Gastly before Jolteon. Note that the AI has a 25% chance to miss all status moves in Gen 1 and 2, so it isn't a guaranteed confusion, but it's pretty likely since it's going to use it for 2 turns. It's time for the Punk Rock Dog. I hit myself in confusion and Thunder misses. Gastly snaps out of confusion and I put the dog to sleep. Okay, time to eat some dreams. Gastly goes to the buffet, replenishes its health, and then finishes the dog off with some electricity. I did it. I beat Pokemon Yellow with Gastly in 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 40 seconds. That's a fantastic time for a first stage Pokemon. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, make Chimecho happy. I'm also collecting all the Johto patrons for now, and I want to say a huge thanks to everyone who supports me. You're making my dreams come true. If you've made it this far, you're incredible. Happy Halloween. Now Pokemon Yellow amps up the scary— Oh! I got scared of the sentence. Oh my gosh. This recording is going slowly. I realized this first when I was recording Electabuzz vs Magmar, so I tried to reduce the— But during the grind, I realized. I said it again. I said that in my last recording. Realized. I was like, it's like a Ranunculus evolution, or it's like a baby Ranunculus. Actually, that doesn't make sense. Ranunculus is like a fetus or a cell. I should never write the word poorly in another script. Every time I say it, I'm like poorly, and then I'm like, is that like poor? Oh my, poo? It's like poo. Oh no, this has devolved into poo humor. Today, Gastly's actually afraid of him though, because he's got a fast physical attacker. Okay, gotta do it again. And then Mega Drain gets a critical hit and Sandslash gets Sandslash is like so much like lispy there. It's like when you like watch a bunch of YouTube videos, you're like, wow, these people are all really articulate. They just like know what they're saying all the time. Amazing. It's a perfect delivery all the time. And then like you try to record a YouTube video and every sentence you flub and you're just like, wait, am I actually just awful at this? Oh.